Hey guys. Hey guys. So this is Valerie. Gonna give it a few minutes. Hopefully a few of you guys will come on in, come on in, come on in. I'm hoping that you all are there. Hello, 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 hello. Giving it a few minutes here for you guys to come on in. Hi, 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 hi. Man, I'm telling you, Instagram be on it. You guys be on it, on it, on it. Hi, everybody. How are you all? How are you all? How are you all? How are you all? Hey, hey, hey. I promised yesterday that I was going to do better with my lives, and I said I was going to come on live today, and that is what I am doing. So here I am. I do see one person popping in over here on Facebook. I'm not going to stick around to wait for people to come on board. I want to just kind of jump right into what I want to talk about. So today is just a recap of, if you guys didn't catch yesterday's live, go back and catch the live. I talked about so much about the new movement that I'm planning, and she says, I love your products and they have done wonders for my business. I can't wait to expand. That is exactly what I'm talking about today. We're talking about expanding. I'm just going to do a really, really quick overview of this expansion that I'm talking about. If you weren't on the live yesterday, you really missed it. So go back and catch yesterday's live. It would be better if you catch it, those of you who are on Instagram, if you would catch it on Facebook. That way you get to see the interaction. It was a live with myself and one of my employees. But if not, you can catch it on Instagram. You will see me there talking about it. So anyhow, I did this new series that was called the Sister Brother Chat. I did it about maybe a month ago, or maybe 2 months ago. And the reason I want to kind of go over that again is because I don't know if you guys really and truthfully know my full story, but I'm going to give a really quick synopsis of some of the things that I have gone through so that you guys can really be inspired to continue on your quest to do what it is that you're doing, whether it is starting your body care business or whatever it is that you're doing. I just want you all to know that it doesn't matter what obstacles you may have faced, that God will see all of us through. And if we can just have the faith enough to believe that we can have any and everything that we want, the sky is the total limit. And so on the Sister Brother Chat, I talked about growing up in the projects in Rochester, New York. And we talked about how bad things really, really were. And the fact that, my mother struggled with alcoholism, and my father was also an alcoholic, and alcoholism kind of went in my family. There were really just hard times. I was born in Georgia, but I didn't know anything about being in Georgia. If anyone wants to come on live with me, you're welcome to do that. You can kind of sit in and ask me questions if you want. If not, I'm just going to continue telling the story. And so a part of me living or growing up, being born in Georgia and growing up in New York, it was tough times. My father abandoned my family when I was an infant. And so that just left my mother to raise 3 children. I do have one sister and one brother, of which I am the youngest. And so times were just really, really tough, and we're having poor connections. You all know we've been in the storm up here. Wholesale Natural Body Care has been closed since Monday. And so the storms may make our connection a little wonky, but hang in there with me. And so anyhow, just growing up in the projects in Rochester, New York was really, 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 really tough. And I'm totally amazed at what the Lord has done in my life since then. And so I got pregnant when I was 16 years old. I grew up in the church. And, back then, I don't know if you guys know, but back then they would disfellowship you in the church if you got pregnant when you were young. Now, my church didn't physically disfellowship me, but you know how they can kind of disfellowship you by kind of isolating you from whatever. And that's fine. I understand that because we're not supposed to get pregnant when we're young. Okay. But I did. I got pregnant when I was very young. And as a result of that, I dropped out of high school to raise my son because my mother was already a single parent and there was absolutely no way she was going to be able to take on the responsibility of another child. So here I am at 17 years old with this baby and no formal education or anything. And so I took on just, back then they called a 5 and dime type job just so that I can help buy Pampers and buy milk for my son. And, it was a true struggle. I had little jobs kind of here and there. There was never really much of anything. And so I said all that to say this. I was in a serious struggle most of my life. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because that may not have changed for a lot of people. Hey, Erin. Hey, sweetie. Share the video, baby doll. Struggles, it doesn't matter what kind of struggle we may have in our lives, and you'll even hear me say that back in the day, not only did I get pregnant young, and my pregnancy was kind of a date rape. I haven't talked about this for a long time because my son, I didn't want him to feel hurt by it or to be embarrassed about it, but it's my story. This is my story. When I get to tell my story, it frees me up and it gives me liberty to be able to begin to flourish the way that God has intended for me to be, and for me to flourish. When I hide behind it or I become embarrassed by it, then it's like I have a secret. Or I have something to hide, but I don't have anything to hide because what happened to me is not what happened inside of me. And so, I'm so glad that I had my grandmother and my Aunt Betty, and y'all hear me talk about my grandmother and my Aunt Betty, who, because my mother was a struggling parent, had to struggle to raise her family. And, I know that growing up, it was hard for me to understand my mom's struggle, because as a child, we just want our parents to love on us and to provide the ideal atmosphere. Well, my mother couldn't do that. She could not do that because she was just a struggling single woman. And now, you guys may not have my testimony. You may not have my situation. You may not be in a struggle like I am. You may be in your own personal struggle. But guess what? It doesn't matter what is going on inside our surrounding or outside of ourselves. That doesn't matter whatsoever because that can change on a dime. What matters most is that we take those internal struggles and do something with it. If my Aunt Betty hadn't been there when my mother had to go to work for me to go to her house, my Aunt Betty was married to my mom's brother, my Uncle James. And she was the type of woman where she had her own children, her 5 children. And then there was me, my brother, and my sister. And I hung out at Aunt Betty's house, of which she taught me how to sew. She taught me how to make balms. She taught me how to do all of these things. And to this day, I am so thankful. Now, back then, it didn't seem ideal that I didn't have money to do a lot of things or that I couldn't have designer clothes. We had hand-me-downs, or either back in the day, my grandmother, they had these kind of church giveaways or family giveaways, and my grandmother would always go and get things to help the rest of her family. And so she did day work, which is house cleaning. And it was because of her house cleaning that it enabled me to be able to do some of the things that I was able to do. So I will never, ever despise meager beginnings because it was, my grandmother's tenacity and the fact that she never gave up on herself and that she had me right by her side. There were many days when we used to catch the bus in the snow. Now, you guys think the Alabama snow is something. The Alabama snow doesn't compare. The snow would be so high in Rochester, it would just cover the whole door. And I would have to get on the bus with my grandmother and travel with her to do day work or to do housework or maid work. And at the time, it didn't feel good. It felt like I was missing out on something. It felt like I wanted to be able to do the same thing that some of the other kids that were my age group, what they were doing. It felt like I wanted to be able to do that. When it came time, as I got a little bit older, I sang with my church choir. I couldn't, and I've said this over and over and over, I couldn't travel with the church choir because we just didn't have the money for it until my grandmother, who showed me how to be an entrepreneur, baked pies, and she would fill up a laundry cart, and I would peddle those pies so I could have enough money to travel with my church choir. And now it is us as we are getting older, some of us older women, all of the skill sets that the Lord has allowed each and every one of us to acquire, we have to reach back in ourselves and give it to the hard-headed little kids that are coming up on the side of us, because that was us at one point or at one time. I'm sure my Aunt Betty probably got tired of having so many kids on her side, and I'm sure that she probably wanted some her time or some self-care time, but they sacrificed for us. They sacrificed, and it is because of the sacrifice of my grandmother and the sacrifice of my Aunt Betty, because of the situation that my mother was in. She couldn't. And it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing, the fact that my mom was an alcoholic. My mother was a serious alcoholic. She was an alcoholic up until when Ralph and I got married, which at this time now has been 24 years. The last conversation I had with my mother about her alcoholism, she had come to visit me, and it made me so mad. It hurt me so bad. I asked her. She literally stayed drunk the entire time she was in Huntsville. She had driven from Rochester down here, and she literally stayed drunk the entire time. And I asked her, I said, Mom, if you were going to just be drunk the whole time that you were here, why did you bother come? And she looked me straight in my face and said, I came because I wanted to drink. She knew that if she tried to drink like that in Rochester around my grandmother, that my grandmother would be on her, and asking her, or, critiquing her about what she did. And when she would come down here, I wanted her to be healthy enough for us to get in the car, to go shopping together. She couldn't do any of those things. And so God put or allowed all of my negative circumstances, getting pregnant, date rape, all of these things that happened to me when I was young. The Lord allowed all of that to develop me into the person that I am now. And my personality, I tend to be very serious. And some people may say, well, she's not friendly. I'm friendly. I'm just not easy to approach. And I think that's because, like a lot of you guys, some things may have happened to you. And so, you don't feel comfortable, or you feel insecure when people are trying to get close or to snuggle up to you. I'm still that way today, even though I'm trying really hard to break out of it. And with the Lord's help, I know that I absolutely can do so much better. And so, but now today, just me pressing through and coming on and being on this live with you guys today, it is because I know we've been talking about being in business, but we can't be in business until we get our minds right. I've been talking about us needing a new mindset. And I wanted to use myself as an example. So I'm going to run down the things that have happened to me. So at 16, I got pregnant. 17, my son was born. Let's back up. I was date raped, okay? I was already in a situation being involved with a man that was much older that should not have even been involved with me. And that kind of stuff still hasn't changed today. So I'm speaking to the men out there too. If you guys got your eyes on a young woman that you should not have your eyes on, you all need to grow up and not do those kind of things, because when a situation like that happens, and young women who even get involved with older men, their sole purpose for doing that is because they're just looking for love, and they're looking for love in all the wrong places. So it is up to those of us who are mature to make the right decisions and to make sure that we do not suffer someone else to be exposed to something prematurely that they should never be exposed to. Let me just clean that background up right now. Yes, honey, let's clean that background up right now. Okay, so yeah, that did happen. It did happen, and it was my struggle to persevere through that. And guess what? With the help of the Lord, I did do that. Now, let's move it on down to Huntsville. Since I've been in Huntsville, it didn't get that much easier. I was married, and my ex-husband, he did more women and more drugs than he did work. And so because my Aunt Betty taught me how to sew, and I was dependent upon my sewing to subsidize my income, that rascal would pawn my sewing machine. So I literally didn't have a way to make extra money so that I could feed my family. But God is just so good. He's so good. And the reason I'm telling my story is because a lot of people look at me and say, you living large. I'm not living large. I'm living blessed. I'm living persevere. I'm not what I used to be. I'm not what happened to me. I am not my history. I'm not that old experience. I am a transformation. I am a new birth through Christ Jesus. Now, in order for me to be able to do the things that I do right now, it calls for me to have a mindset. It calls for me to have a mind that stayed on Jesus. Because if I didn't have a mind stayed on Jesus, I have a sister right now whom I love dearly, who didn't have the fortitude that I have, who didn't sit beside Aunt Betty's skirt side and learn how to sew and learn how to make butters and learn how to make bombs. My sister didn't do that. To this day, my sister is still struggling with an addiction. She's a multiple drug addict and she's still struggling with that, of which I wish she was not. But see, the Lord delivered me from that situation so that I could be here for you guys today. And so as a result of that, I just want you all to know I've been fired from jobs. I've filed bankruptcy. I have been foreclosed on. I've been repossessed on. Anything that you could ever imagine. I've been divorced. I've divorced. I've suffered loss. I have done it all. And it does not change what has happened or who I am today. So if I can do these things, if I can be blessed, and if I can live the life that I'm living right now, so can you. I see my niece over here, Passion. I'm talking to you, honey, because I know some of your struggles, and I just want to say that it's up to us. When things seem really, really tough, you've got to believe that you can tie a new knot. And to the women, it's time for us to be about substance. We've got to make really good decisions. I know that it's hard, because we all want a certain life for ourselves. We want to be loved, we want to be cared about. But if it ain't with the right person, it ain't going to work. You can't force somebody to love you. And when a man tells you that I don't want what you want, guess what? You need to listen. I've sat in situations and heard conversations where the man told the woman that this is not what I want. And she would say, I don't think he really means that. He means it. If he said it, he means it. And you need to tuck your tail and go ahead on and do something different. Do something different. Because even if over here on Instagram, even if you get in a situation like that and you try to start a business, your head space is going to be wrong. You got to get your head space cleared so that you can function. So right now today, this is all about hearing my story, understanding that I've been through a lot, but knowing that it has nothing to do with where I am today. We can be overcomers, but we've got to put on our thinking cap. We got to listen to what's being said. We have got to be willing to do the hard work and to change things for our betterment. And once we have done that, we have the world to look forward to. We're going to do these lines. Like I said, we talked about us having the beauty retail warehouse, and we're going to do that. Valerie is going to do that. And in the Bible, it says that we have, I talked about this on yesterday, we have the right to ask the Lord for what we want and write the vision down, make it plain, and then to walk in faith towards that. But until you clear the air about what has happened to you or what you think about what has happened to you, we're only as good as how we internalize what has happened to us. I could sit around all day long and feel sorry for myself and start saying, well, I can't do blah, 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 because I don't have no support, or I don't have nobody to help me do this, or I don't have this and I don't have that. No, yes you do. You have all of that and some. You have got to get a new hookup. You got to hang with the right people. You've got to do the right things. You've got to do the right work in yourself so that you can be an overcomer. You can be anything you want to be. If I can be it, you can be it. Lord have mercy. I wish you guys could have seen back in the day. I don't look like what I've been through, honey. I don't look like it. And so if I can change my circumstances, you can too. But it starts with your own self-talk. You've got to clear the conversation you've been having in your head. If the conversation is not catapulting you towards something new, change that conversation. Stop beating up on yourself. Stop feeling sorry for yourself and start speaking as though you already see the vision. Tell yourself, if you got to put yellow sticky notes up in your bathroom, and I have done this, I have put sticky notes on my mirror in my bathroom that would remind me to think differently every time I wanted to feel sorry for myself, every time I wanted to not see things differently. I had to have something to help get me there. You guys can do that too. Get your sticky note, or just take some time out. Take some time out to do something different and get with the right person. If you hanging with the wrong crowd, examine the life of the people you hang out with. If it's not doing what you want your life to do, then it's not the people that you want to be with. I could go on and on and on and on and on. I don't want to do that because I don't want to bore you guys. I don't want to wear you out, but I'm doing what I said I was going to do. And just me being here is me pressing through my own nervousness about showing up on camera. I'm pressing through my own nervousness because sometimes I don't feel like I'm saying things the way I tend to ramble because I get confused. I need to have notes. I need to have it up on my screen. But I just want to be intimate with you guys to let you all know that you can do, I see it for you. You can do everything that you want to do. You can do anything you want to do because God will help us. He will help us through it. Now, the basis for my success, I'm going to close with this. The other day, I went to the bank and it was about my investment portfolio. Now, I already said I was poor as a project rat. Never had anything. Always wore hand-me-downs or whatever I could sew for myself. When I sat down with my financial planner and he showed me my net worth, I was so blown away. And when I share these things with you guys, I promise it is just me. I could literally cry. Thank you, Lord. It is just the goodness of God. He is so good to us. When you've not had a thing, I literally never had a thing, never had anything. Always had that to depend on someone, just like I know you guys have had to do. When my banker said to me, your net worth is in excess of $6.6 million, I could just fall on the floor and just roll over and cry. But the reason that net worth is where it is because I'm not making other people rich with the money that I have worked hard for and with my investments that I have accomplished over the years. I'm not, and I love, don't get me wrong, I love designer handbags. I love all of that stuff. I kind of do my thing a little differently. I don't do it quite like that. But what I do is I reinvest in myself. I reinvest in my family. I reinvest in my business. I reinvest in you guys so that we can have something together. I want with my whole heart, with everything that is inside of me. I want every person that is on this live today. I want you all to be able to experience the same success that I have experienced. And I know that if I can do it, you can do it too, because I'm no more special than you are. I love women so much, and I know that we have struggled. We've been through so much, and as women of color, and not just women of color, but all women, we've been in bad relationships. We've had stuff to happen to us, but that stuff does not matter. That ain't changing my net value, my net worth. It's not changing that. But guess what? If I die tomorrow, my kids get to get all my stuff. So we got to line our stuff up right. We've got to make sure that we're doing what we want to do for ourselves and that we're taking care of ourselves, that we're being healthy, that our self-talk is positive and that it is healthy and that we're working towards our goals. So let me thank every last one of you for following me on the Instagram page on the Beauty Retail Warehouse. I'm so sorry, guys. You all have followed me over there and you're showing me that you mean something, but we're never going to get there as a community and a society of women unless we start walking it down. We got to walk it down. We got to walk it down and we got to do the work. And me being here today is me doing the work, because it would have been easier on this cold day in Huntsville for me to put my jammies on and climb in the bed. But I said, nope. I told them I'm going live, so I'm going live. And I want every last one of you to go along with me. So I'm going to close out, but I'm going to tell you guys, I want for each one of you to be and to experience the same success as I have. I want you guys to be able to buy homes and write checks for them just like I do. I want, when it's time for at the end of the year, I want for you guys to buy BMWs and Mercedes as your tax write-offs just like I do. I'm not special. The only thing I do that I may do differently is I return a faithful tithe. I give a liberal offering, and I'm benevolent. I'm being benevolent right now by just sharing my testimony with you guys. And so I'm going to close, share this live, make sure that you like it, all the stuff that you have to do. Pray for me. I'm going to pray for you. And all of you over here on Instagram that are telling me that you want to walk in my footsteps. Okay, you know what? I'm walking. The Lord has been holding me up because I'm only walking in one set of footsteps, and that's the footsteps of Him. He is carrying me. And you guys, if you don't have the wherewithal to carry yourself in your own footsteps, guess what? Walk in mine. Do what I'm doing. I've told you guys over and over and over and over. Whatever you see me do, you do it. Do it exactly the same way that I do it. Do it like I do, and I promise you, you will see some success. I love you all so much. We are our sisters' keepers. We are our brothers' keepers, and it is time for us to do something different. We've got to have a new mindset, and let's let 2024 be the beginning of our new mindset. I love you all so much, and you all have a blessed day. Happy Sabbath, guys.